Hello everyone, and welcome to another special video here on the YouTube channel. Today, we are talking Marigold versus Marvelous, the rivalry so far. I know a lot of people have started to tune into both Marigold and Marvelous over the past couple months. For Marigold, very well may have been when Mayu Iwatani joined the company, and for Marvelous with Wrestling Universe, of course, adding them to the rotation. I think there's just an overall overwhelming popularity coming from them as well as what they did in America during their Las Vegas show. So I'm here to tell you all about the incredible rivalry that these two promotions have been telling. This rivalry has been one of my favorite things in all of wrestling this year, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. This upcoming Marigold Korakuen, which will be a week from the day this is released on the 17th, that is just a continuation with two matches featuring Marigold versus Marvelous. But we're going to go through all the matches. We're going to go through the moments of where this all started, how a rivalry seemed to start just through appreciation for a retiring legend. And from there, we will kind of talk about the matches. I'll talk a little bit about the matches if you haven't seen them, because the other part of this incredible rivalry is that the actual wrestling has truly been fantastic. Some of my favorite matches of the year have come within this rivalry. So we're going to break it all down. I'm going to tell you the story. And if you're looking to get into either of these companies, you're going to want to know the story because it's a big time part of what they both have going on right now. And it has really led to a spark for both of them. So let's do this right now. Thank you everyone for joining me. As always, I ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Marigold versus Marvelous feud. What you're hoping to see from the feud moving forward. I think that's always very important. And anything else you can think of when it comes to either of these promotions. But with that being said, I'm very excited to get to this video. I hope you are too. I appreciate all the support, the continued support here on the channel. Like I've said, I always want to try to get a video up along with the podcast each and every Friday. 5-Star Joe Show drops every Friday. The current podcast is up there now. You can check it out. We talked the Natsu and Sayori show. We talked the Great Shinjuku Face Marigold show and so much more. You can check that out right now on that show. We'll be having another big time episode this Friday as the conversion has its card finally. We'll be previewing the weekend of action and so on and so forth. So make sure to check that out if you haven't. But with that being said, let's get to it. Marigold versus Marvelous. This is what it's all about. The rivalry so far. Let me help you get into it. Let me help you learn it because I do think that this rivalry is well worth your time. It all started here at this very show, February 20th, 2025. It started as a very lovable moment as Nanai Takahashi and Seri Amioka successfully defended the Twin Star Championships against Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki in the main event of the New Year's Golden Garden 2025 main event. As Nanai Takahashi talked on the microphone after the match, she was pointing up to the balcony at Korakuen Hall, and it was a matter of who's up there. What is going on up there? We need to see. Of course, it was revealed to be the Marvelous roster: Takumi Iroha, Magenta, Chigusa Nagayo, Mio Momono, all in attendance for this show, all rooting on Nanai. As you could see, full out passion. Maybe this was the start of something to most, but this was it. This was just them paying respect, show them on the Wrestle Universe camera, and you proceed forward. That was it. It was simple, but it was a great tease because it always felt inevitable that this would happen. And Takumi Iroha, obviously showing all the love and support, would be the one to really kick that into a new gear. You bring it to March 11th, 2025, following a main event where Nanae Takahashi defeated Victoria Yuzuki in a great Shinjuku face match. Throughout the entire show, in the front row was the Marvelous roster. You had Takumi Iroha, Mio Momono, Senka Akatsuki, Sora Yame, Maria, Riko Kawahata, Ai on all watching. Well, yeah, all watching. And as the show went on, again, it was a lot of respect and watching of the wrestling. But when Nanai got the microphone at the end, she called them into the ring and things ramped up from there. Takumi Iroha took the microphone and it became kind of personal. And listen, I think part of this absolutely had to do with, oh, let's just, we could finally have this rivalry. We could, they can be part of Nanai's farewell, but it's become so much more. Takumi Iroha mocked the training of Marigold, said, "We train better, we prepare better. You guys are not on our level." And that, of course, led to the roster taking exception. And that went to Nanai challenging anyone to step up. And of course, this was the first time the world may have seen Senka Akatsuki prove that she is truly always ready. She took Nanai down in the middle of the ring. A fight broke out between the two sides, and it was decided that at the March 30th Korakuen Hall show, Takumi Iroha and Senka Akatsuki would step into the ring to face Nanai Takahashi and a mystery opponent. This instantly went from, just again, the hello, how you doing? At the cork into, oh, here we go. There's now a personal level here. There's some respect, obviously. There's tons of respect for Nanai, but there is a personal level here. And that is going to be really the story of excitement as we continue to go through this. A lot of this was out of respect for Nanai, also telling Marigold, you're just not up to our standards still. And Nanai fighting back against that, but also in a respectful manner. So that brings us to what I like to call the match of this feud so far. March 30th, 2025, Marigold versus Marvelous, the very first matchup between the two sides. It was Nanai Takahashi teaming up with the super rookie Seri Yamaoka, her passion daughter, to face Takumi Iroha and Senka Akatsuki. Two super rookies, two top of the line veterans, and the Twin Star Championships on the line. This match kicked every hope you may have had, every dream you may have had of a promotion versus promotion war between Marigold and Marvelous into full gear. This match was tremendous. And this match established the dislike between these two sides, the animosity between these two sides. And there may not be any better way to showcase that than the work and the struggle and the rivalry between Seri Yamaoka and Senka Akatsuki. When you look at the scene of joshi wrestling, there may not be two rookies better than these two. They have shown very quickly for Seri in just under 6 months' time. For Senka Akatsuki, just a little bit more. They have shown they are the future of this industry. They are the future of joshi wrestling. This match had everything you could have asked for. Truly, the struggle of Yamaoka, the struggle of Senka, the confidence of both. Seri Yamaoka had just come back. This was her return match from a concussion. So, instantly, every hit, every move that is Takumi Iroha wearing Seri Yamaoka down has a little bit more meaning, right? On the flip side of that, Nanai Takahashi bringing it to Senka Akatsuki, going after Senka Akatsuki. Just phenomenal, phenomenal work. And then, of course, when you get Nanai and Takumi, the two absolute top dogs that have been in this feud from the very beginning, going head to head, you're getting magic, right? That is maybe the most important part of this feud through the first month is that the top dogs of each side are Nanai Takahashi and Takumi Iroha. Okay, you have the rookies, right? They even it out, but these are the top dogs, and this is important because as we go through this rivalry, it becomes a Takumi Iroha dominance levels that have left her asking for more. And I think that's the most important part of this story to remember as we catch you up here heading into the next Korakuen Hall show. This rivalry has gone half the year, right? This is a rivalry that is going and going, and there doesn't seem to be a stop button, which is a beautiful part of it. But the story at hand is that these two faced off, and in the end, Nanai Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka successfully defended the title, with Seri Yamaoka pinning Senka Akatsuki in the middle of the ring. You saw an emotional Senka Akatsuki break down into tears. You saw, though, between these two sides, they were far from over. Takumi Iroha wasn't going to let it go. Takumi Iroha wasn't just going to move on. You saw Victoria Yuzuki go face to face with her on the outside. You saw these two sides continuing to go face to face. But at this stage of the game, Marigold's up 1-0. They have the advantage, but it's not done there. The next step in this rivalry, after a fantastic tag match that saw Seri Yamaoka pin Senka Akatsuki. I feel like that's as important of information as you can have moving forward because that's their one match against one another so far. That's as important as any because that is the defining feud, I think, of this long-term rivalry. That is your future feud, right? That is a feud that can truly be the feud of Joshi for years to come. She got the pin in a fantastic match with fantastic effort. I plead with you, go out of your way to watch it if you haven't already. One of the best Marigold matches of the year or ever, and one of the best matches of Senka Akatsuki's career. The match that I feel like really watched Takumi Iroha return to that ultimate dominance, that ultimate level that so many of us became used to from her pre-injury back in the day. It's a match that really so perfectly kicked off this feud. The next match in this rivalry, Marvelous versus Marigold, was on a Marvelous show at Shinjuku Face, April 10th. It was Ai Hozan and Riko Kawahata teaming up to take on Hummingbird and Victoria Yuzuki. This match is pretty important because it feels like the lost one of the feud because you got to go out of your way to watch Marvelous. This is not on Wrestle Universe, but you got to find it because this match is a very underrated match in this entire story. This was Marvelous getting the momentum back, and momentum that has not slowed them down since. Riko Kawahara was becoming a problem for Marvelous. She was becoming the second in command in many ways, behind Takumi Iroha with Mio Momino out. Very quickly, her dominance would show here as she was the one getting the win for her team. Ai Hozan continuing to step up. This was her first chance to enter the feud, and my oh my, has she been a star throughout this feud. I think an underrated star. We'll talk about it here in a second when we get to the Shine Forever match. But any opportunity she's gotten, she's shined. Hummingbird had her career best performance in this match. I think that's very important because Hummingbird and much of the Marigold roster that has stepped into this because this is a feud about loving your own company and defending it with every part of your being. There is so much care and admiration to the company they're defending, to their company, that you have to have a full, I think you get a full appreciation for what that story is when you're watching it. You really do, because you're getting the best career best performances out of multiple wrestlers throughout this feud, throughout this matches. This is by far the best from Hummingbird. And despite her being the one to get pinned in the end, it's a match that I remember. It's a match that I remember for her because she went out there, she did her best to step up. And while she fell short, it was a moment of her taking the next step that she desperately needed. And then, of course, Victoria Yuzuki in this match. Victoria Yuzuki entering the fray, one of the top, as she calls herself, the future ace of Marigold. Big time stuff here as well. I thought she did great work with both Rico and Ihozan, but this ultimately was Hummingbird coming up short after some brilliant near falls in the closing stretch. And that is what led to the next step. Marigold did not go alone. Victoria Yuzuki and Hummingbird did not go alone. Miku, Aono, and Mirai both accompanied their juniors. You know, Natsumi Suzuki, another veteran, but you had Chika Goto there, Rhea Seto, Kazuna Tanaka, and Yuki Minami. Everyone stepped up, but Miku Aono specifically said, I'm going to lead now. So, to set the stage, right, as I talked about earlier, Takumi Aroha wants to face the best. That has been her story throughout this feud. You got to send better to me because I, in this presentation, in this feud, has quickly become the final boss of Marvelous. She is the unbeatable ace. That is what she is, and that is what she continues to be presented as. So Miku Ano is the next to step up. Miku Ano, as you see here, was ready to go. You have Gochika ready to defend this company with her life. You got Rhea Seto ready to do the same. Kazuna Tanaka locked in like you never would believe. And then, of course, Marvelous with all the confidence in the world coming off the win. We got this. We're fine. And that is when the knockout elimination match is proposed. What is that? What is that? Well, that is a match that ultimately becomes fantastic and what to me is the best point in this feud so far. But before we get to there, I will point out a little fun part of this, and that was the corner moments between Mio Momono and Mirai. They kept in each other's face. Mio Momono was saying, "We will face you," right? Mio Momono kind of the spokeswoman while she's dealing with injury, but Mirai is right in her face. Mirai is showing, I want you. I want to face you one on one. This is going to be something. So that is something to follow. This feud is so great, and it's only going to get better because Mio Momono will enter the fray. As we're seeing next week, the two top names in the company are entering the fray for Marigold. This is just so new still. It's so fresh. But that's why I'm here. The rivalry so far is so that you can lock in as some of the biggest and top names of the scene jump in. So that brings us to the incredible knockout match. This is one of my favorite matches of the entire year. This is a match that I firmly believe perfectly embodies what this feud was going for. Kazuna Tanaka made herself a star through this match, right? There are so many perfect setups within this match that I think so perfectly lifts this match to top of the line greatness. This was the main event of this Korakuen Hall show. This was the final Korakuen, mind you, before Mayu Iwatani would join Marigold. So I think that's pretty important as well. This was Marigold, none of the former Stardom wrestlers defending the company, right? No Mai Sakurai, no Tommy Hayashishita, no Mirai, no Nanai, no Victoria Yuzuki, right? This is 5 wrestlers who joined Marigold in the past year, taking chances on themselves and wanting to defend the company, defend the honor, right? You have going into this match, the captains are Miku Aono and Takumi Aroha. So in the end, in your mind, that is where we're going. But it was Go Chica whose determination in this match and determination and spirit gave her the final captain spot. And that dramatically changes where this match goes. Because this match, like I said, is fantastic. It's 43 minutes and 3 seconds, but it's all different singles matches. Each singles match has a 10-minute time limit, and you are getting star-making performances out of multiple wrestlers, starting with none other than Kazuna Tanaka. Kazuna Tanaka obviously had a tough start in her Marigold time, right? She dealt with injuries. Her back injury kept her out. This was really kind of fresh off her return. Still, she was back for about, at this point, I think this was just at the 2 months, but still pretty fresh, right? Still pretty fresh. But she gets the opportunity to lead this match off, and you can see it in her eyes how much this means to her. So she faces Sorayame, beats her in a minute, eliminates her. And it's like, oh boy, here we go. That's when Hozan steps in the ring, and she beats Hozan too. That match went longer, but my oh my, was it fantastic! That match lasted 5 minutes and 21 seconds. So that's when you have the two younger wrestlers of Marvelous out. That leaves Marvelous with the big guns from here on out. That's Takumi and that's Magenta. That is as tough of a trio. That is the strongest trio of this entire match, right? Marigold's top trio, whoever, you Mikuano, Natsumi, and Gochika, they don't match that. So despite being on the back foot, Marvelous shows how great they truly are. Maria specifically shows how great she truly is. This is one of the great Maria performances I've ever seen. She goes in there, she takes care of business with Kazuna Tanaka, right? Kazuna Tanaka had incredible first two showings, but ultimately, in the end, Maria takes her out. From there, Rhea Seto then enters the fray for Marigold. And Rhea Seto's specialty is attacking that arm. And that really plays into the greatness of Maria. Maria feels like a powerhouse in this match. She felt like an absolute beast, because Kazuna's small, Rhea is small. They're not tall, right? They're just not. And Natsumi Suzuki's not, tall either. Maria just felt like an absolute beast in this match. And she was. She took out Rhea Seto 4 minutes later, but she had to sell that arm. And that's when it was all even. Natsumi Suzuki, though, has the advantage, right? Maria had been through 2 matches. She's shaken off that arm, and Suzuki and Maria, I think, have a fantastic 10-minute draw right here. And that leaves us down to the final two on each side. The drama is there, the excitement is there, the main event spot, right? These two teams are tied at 1-1. This could have been it. Really, this could have been the end of the feud once and for all. But we'll get there in a second. So step in Mikuano, step in Riko Kawahara. They have the history together. You can go back, both being actress girls alums. Obviously, both going down different routes in their career. Riko Kawahara eventually joining T-Hearts and then becoming a full part of Marigold, but becoming a full part of Marvelous. Mikuano obviously sticking strong with actress girls until the creation of Marigold, their former champion, all these different things. And these two have the best 10 minutes of the entire match. Just hard-hitting, devastating action. Back and forth they go. And you just can't find a winner. Legitimately, some of the best 10 minutes of wrestling I've seen this year was between Mikuano and Riko Kawahara. Again, it raised the stakes. It elevated the importance. And with Mikuano now out, that left us with the final two being Chika Goto and her spirit and her belief and everything she's got against the final boss, right? The ace of Marvelous, Takumi Iroha. To say she didn't stand a chance might be mean, but Takumi Iroha decimated Gochika. Gochika had the fans supporting her. She had the hope, the heart, but not enough. She lasted 9 minutes and 31 seconds. She was trying to get them to that end, but Takumi destroyed her. And that reestablished this feud. That reestablished that Takumi's the top dog of this feud. Everyone else now has to try and take her down. That's what this felt like. It was a devastating loss for Marigold, as you can see in the image. Kazuna Tanaka, emotional, devastated. Go Chica, devastated. Ryoseto, devastated. And then the two veterans, of course, Miku Ano and Natsumi Shosuke, like, what just happened? And this is when Takumi Iroha stares at Nanae Takahashi, stares over and says, I need your best. What is this competition? I want your best competition. Took some time to get her best competition from Marigold, but this is when it became personal. And I was no longer the match. This was no longer a full-on love letter to Nanae of, oh, we want to just face you. No, 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 no. This was personal. And the next personal step was for Magenta, who were a key part in getting this win. Would be Magenta to challenge for the Twin Star Championships. Again, Takumi Iroha has demanded more. She wants more. She wants your top dog. She knows who wasn't in this match. She knows they weren't sending their best, in her opinion. She didn't get to share the ring with Miku Ano. Rico took her out. To her, she is that much more above. And that is the scary, scary story for Marigold as this rivalry continues. Well, until now. But that's what I'm here to build up. I'm here to build this up dramatically. Twin Star Championship in Osaka, May 10th, 2024. So this was about a month after, like 2 weeks later, I should say. And the story here is twofold. It's twofold. If Nanae Takahashi and Tsuruyama Yamaoka win, then I will retire as a champion. This will be the final defense of the Twin Star Championships. So the newly heel turn Magenta, which wasn't part of the story initially, but in a way worked out better, I think, for every side. They turn heel on a Marvelous show on the Marvelous Cork, and after being eliminated in the round one of the one night tournament, which you can check out on Wrestling Universe if you haven't already. And they turn heel, new look, new everything. No one knows what to expect. This is going to be their first match in this new role. And they walk into this match and they steal the Twin Star Championships. Like I said, after the knockout match, it got personal. This is personal. You stole the chance for Nanae Takahashi to retire as Twin Star champions, and ultimately, you stole the Twin Star Championships from Marigold. Titles have now switched over. Titles have now switched over to the other side. That is worst case scenario. In my interview with Mirai ahead of Shine Forever, I think she so perfectly put it together. She said, I'm really interested in Marvel's amazing wrestling fundamentals and wrestlers like Miyamoto and Takumi Iroha. Of course, I'd like to have a spirited battle with them. I think rivals are important in a fight, but losing in a rivalry match is no good. And moreover, the belts should not be dropped to another company. The worst situation is happening right now. She said she wanted to be the savior of this situation. I want to become the world champion and then stand in front of the Marvelous Army as a general full of confidence. Ultimately, that did not work out for her, but the point stands. This became worst case scenario. In a competitive match, you watched Magenta cheat for the very first time, taking out the ref when it looked like the tag team champions were going to successfully defend. And that gave Riko Kawahara enough time to get back on her feet, hit the diving moonsault, pin Seri Yamaoka, and win the Twin Star Championships, giving Marvelous the gold. And not just any gold. If you've followed Marigold for any sort of time, you know that the Twin Star Championships in many ways have been the the workhorse type, the best belts in the company. So taking them had a little bit more meaning than just, winning some tag belts. These were, for so much of the promotion's run, the belts. And they took it off of Nanai Takahashi just weeks before she was going to retire. Devastating, both sides. Literally 2 weeks before she was going to retire. A shocking loss, and one that still brings us to today with them reigning over Marigold. So, with that, it lines us up. Shine forever. 2025, the Marigold versus Marvelous feud would pour into Marigold's biggest show of the year at Yoyogi, and it would start with another elimination battle. This time, Marigold represented by Natsumi Shozuki, Nao Ishikawa, Hummingbird, Aria Seto, and Kamomo Manami. On the other side, you have Magenta, Maria, and Riko Kawahara, Ai Hozan, Seiga Akatsuki, and Sora Ayame. So Senka re-entering the story here as well. This match went Marigold's way. After 3 straight losses in this story, they finally got one back. This match turned out to be super strong as well. And again, you got the opportunity to see the young up and comers of Marigold, especially, get their chance to shine. Rhea Seto in the closing stretch being able to make Ai Hozan lose, being able to get the win for her promotion, for her team, in the biggest win of her career to this point. You also had great moments throughout this match between Kamomo Minami and Seika Katsuki I'd love to see revisited. And you have to remember, this was not the same as the knockout battle. While this was also elimination, over the top rope rules did apply. You saw eliminations in that respect, and that created a different atmosphere overall for the match. You saw the Twin Star champions get eliminated, as now Shikawa and Natsumi Suzuki made sure to make that happen, leaving Rhea Seto and Ai Hozan in the ring, where Rhea Seto would get the win. The momentum was back finally. Oh, my bad. They were back finally on their side as they stood tall all together. Right? This was again, more of Marigold's new blood. They're growing throughout this feud. You've watched Kamomo Minami get better. You've watched Rhea Seto get better. You've watched Hummingbird get better. I think Natsumi Suzuki and Ishikawa have shown elsewhere how good they are. But those three have all improved, and being part of this feud has only made them better, right? At the beginning of this feud was about, we train better. We do things better. That's what Takumi Iroha said. And within this feud, you're watching wrestlers improve on both sides, wrestling each other, wrestling together, learning from each other, learning together. While there may be a lot of dislike right now between the two sides, they're learning together, they're growing together. And that's the beauty of a feud like Marigold versus Marvelous. So could they take that momentum into the ultimate battle, as Seri Yamaoka, the super rookie, would go one-on-one with Marvelous Ace Takumi Iroha? Not the easiest task at hand. This match on paper was one-sided. This match um, was very, very, very hard for Yamaoka to steal a win and even the series at 3 apiece. Rather, it was about Yamaoka showing her growth and showing, oh, you want better talent? I'm right here, Takumi. I can take you. There's a reason I'm a super rookie, and she did her best. She did an incredible job. This was Suri Yamaoka turning the page on her career. Nanai Takahashi, her tag team partner, was retiring. Now it's time for Suri Yamaoka to be her own wrestler, to be her own competitor. She said this was the match to do it, and she was going to show Nanai what her teachings have done. Unfortunately for her, she came up short in the end. And when I say she came up short, I mean she truly did. Takumi Iroha's will, her domination that we've seen throughout this feud, poured through once again. She ended up pinning Suri Yamaoka. She didn't need to use the running 3. She hit a what's the name of the move? A not a gut wrench. I forget the move, but she had a version of the GTS where she knocks out Yamaoka in the middle of the ring, pins her 1, 2, 3, and Yamaoka is defeated. She's devastated, but it's part of growing, right? So Yamaoka showed, and by the way, in the lead up to this, Nanae Takahashi did travel to Marvelous. She teamed with Ai Hozan to face Seika Katsuki and Tsurayame. So in many ways, the initial final boss from that very first match for Marigold, which was Nanai, faced the rookie in a match in Marvelous setting, and then Takumi, who was of course absolutely the top dog, the ace final boss, whatever you want to call it, of Marvelous, then faces the other rookie from that first match. It's a full circle type thing there where this is the end of the first chapter between these two stories. Because after this, help is on the way. Help is on the way. Seri Yamaoka had an incredible performance. To this point, maybe the best singles match of her career. And to me, at this point, I thought this was the most natural she's ever looked in the ring. She really did take those steps and she took them to heart and she improved and showed out even in defeat. Takumi Roha was impressed. You saw it, but at the same time, enough was enough. She had to get her company back on track. She had to get Marvelous back up, and that made this feud 4-2 in the series. But we didn't end there for Shine Forever, as Utami Hayashishita officially entered the fight. The Marigold World Champion successfully defended the championship against Mirai in the semi-main event of this show and called out Takumi Iroha, someone that she has been asking to face for years, someone that Takumi Iroha has said she wanted to face for years. You could see the excitement in Utami Hayashishita's face when this match was becoming a reality. When Takumi answered the call, she said, "Yes, but I have something else to do first." And Utami said, "Okay, I will wait." But ultimately, it was going to be Ace versus Ace. Top Marvelous champion, AAAW champion versus Marigold World champion for the Marigold World title. We don't know when that match will be official yet, but it's coming very, very soon. So the question was, what does Takumi Iroha have to do first? That was challenged for the GHC Women's Championship match. Koki Amare, who made her return on Shine Forever as well, was the GHC Women's Champion, had dealt with a torn ACL, and finally stepped back in the ring. And Takumi Iroha, on the first episode of Monday Magic Primetime of Pro Wrestling Noah, confronted Koki Amare after Mayu, Utani, and Koki Amare successfully had a tag team match in that same show. Mayu's an important part because that slight face off, like, that comes back around. But what Takumi Iroha wanted to do was become a quadruple champion, win her fourth title, and that's what she did. The continuation of dominance for Takumi in this feud reigned on. Doesn't matter the building, doesn't matter where. She is the dominant force of Marvelous, and she has been the one putting this lead on her back. Every single win of importance has come with Takumi Iroha winning. And this was another championship taken from Marigold talent. Koki Amare put in one of the best performances of her career just weeks after returning from a torn ACL injury. That is not going to be enough, unfortunately. Takumi Iroha has reached the level of dominance that so few hope to make it to, or should I rephrase? So few actually do make it to. The look on Takumi's face here says it all. She's like, "I have won again. I have taken another championship, and I have your number." So, with that, it's time for others to step up. The win here put Marvelous up 5-2, including 2 wins in championship matches. Takumi Roha now holds the GHC Women's title. Magenta holding the Twin Star Championships, and Marigold looking for answers. Their 2 wins were the very first match where Seri Yamaoka pinned Senka Katsuki in a fantastic match, and at the Shine Forever show, the elimination match, but it was soured by the end of the night when Takumi Iroha defeated Seri Yamaoka. So that brings us to the upcoming weekend and what to expect moving forward. I hope in these 40 minutes I've got you up to date, got you excited. Hopefully you go back and watch these matches. I think they're all worth it. They're all very good at the very least. So that brings us to the Korakuen. What is next in Marigold versus Marvelous? I'm happy you asked. It's Magenta defending the Twin Star Championships for the first time. Riko Kawahara and Maria defend against the team of Mai Sakurai and Chan Yoda. Mai Sakurai has entered the conversation. Mai Sakurai is one of the names that have not been a part of the Marvelous feud. She is the reigning defending United National Champion. So on June 17th, she will challenge alongside her tag team partner, Chen Yoda. Chen Yoda is the woman that said, I love Marigold. I may not be an official member, but I love it. She has become as close to an official member as possible, and her and Mai Sakurai have proven in the past they have incredible chemistry. They will be the first try to take the Twin Stars away from Magenta. Magenta haven't had to defend them yet, but this is the first try. And this is the continuation of the feud. Will it go to 6-2? Or will they get their titles back? Will Mai Sakurai become a double champion? These are legitimate questions because they are real possibilities. Takumi Iroha asked for the best to enter the conversation. Mai Sakurai, check. That is your United National Champion. I'll rephrase. I'll restate. Takumi Iroha asked for the best to enter the conversation. Well, she got it. Mayu Utami, after successfully defending the Superfly Championship against Misa Matsui in an excellent match that you should check out, said, Marvelous. Takumi Iroha, if you're listening, I'd like to join this feud. I'd like to dive on in and protect Marigold. Well, Takumi asked. She got her answer. So, in the main event of the Korakuen Hall show on June 17th, it will be Mayu Iwatani, Utami Hayashishita, and Seri Yamaoka against Takumi Iroha, Senka Akatsuki, and Sora Ayama. You may look at this and you say, my God, this is very one-sided. It is. Plain and simple, it is. But that comes with the confidence of Takumi Iroha. Takumi Iroha has beaten everything they've offered. Why send more help? Obviously, Magenta, the champions, and Miyamoto is not available yet, but this is good enough. You can face our 2 rookies. You can send your world champion. You can send the icon. You can send your super rookie. We're not afraid. We're gonna battle. This is what it's all about, folks. I mean, this is the next step. We are only getting started. Seri Yamaoka and Senka Katsuki are in a blood feud here. Utami Hayashishita and Takumi Iroha are destined for a Marigold World Championship match. And Sorayame, she's got jokes. She got some good jokes. She mocked Mayu. She said, "Hey, wait a minute, you're kind of a rookie here. You're brand new to Marigold. Who are you to talk? You know?" So the icon has entered the conversation. The world champion has entered the conversation. The United National Champion has entered the conversation. And the super rookie has re-entered the conversation. The story of this match will be Seri Yamaoka and Senka. They'll cross each other out, right? They're even. Tommy Hayashishita and Takumi, they'll be even too. It's where Mayu Iwatani comes in to turn the tides of this feud once and for all. You challenged her. You asked for more competition. Why not get the greatest of all time to do that? This feud is terrific. This feud is fantastic. It's one of the best things going on in professional wrestling right now. Not just joshi, professional wrestling right now. You're watching two great rosters fight each other in support of their own roster to show you the best and why they're the best and what they bring to the table is the best between each other. That's the story. That's the feud. We're only at the beginning here. It's just getting to the next chapter. This is the beginning of this next chapter. Takumi's demands have been answered. Utami's here, Mayu's here, my Sakurai's here. Mirai's the only one that hasn't answered the chat yet. Something tells me Mirai may be waiting for Miyamoto for that. But that's the beauty of what's next. We have a Marigold World title match coming up sooner rather than later between Utami and Takumi. That's going to be one of the most important world title matches this company has had. Takumi could take the world title right before the Dream Star and hold that hostage. On the other side of this, you have the return of Miyamoto. Sooner rather than later, that is going to be a big boost for an already dominant Marvelous so far. You, of course, are going to have the continuation of the feud between Seri Yamaoka and Seika Katsuki. That's going to be fantastic. And then you have the big question mark. What does Mayu want out of this? Will Mayu pursue the GHC Women's Championship? Will she pursue the AAAW Championship? Her and Takumi are destined to meet as well. This feud is evolving. And of course, the Dream Star is coming. Could Marvelous enter that conversation? Could they put one or two or three competitors into that tournament and make it a conversation? That's the excitement here. That's the excitement of this feud. This feud will continue. This feud isn't slowing down. You can check out both of these great rosters on Wrestling Universe. They're absolutely crushing it, and this feud is crushing it. You don't want to miss this. I'm telling you now. If you're new to either of these promotions, follow along with this feud. Go through all these matches I've talked about. Prepare for these matches on Tuesday. It's going to be great. And it's still so fresh, so new, so many chapters to be written, so many matches to happen. Mayu's here, Tommy's here, my Sakurai's here, Takumi's here. We're waiting on you, Miyamoto. But they got Sanka, they got Magenta, the Twin Star champions. This all goes down on Tuesday. Hopefully, what I have offered you here today is a great look inside one of the best stories going, like I said. Hopefully, what I've done today is interest you in a feud that is worth interest. If you're interested in Joshi wrestling, you will be interested in this feud. You'll be locked in on the care that these two promotions have or these two rosters have for their promotions and the want to defend them. You're going to care as we take those next steps with Mayu and Utami, like I keep saying. You're going to be into it when you see who finally takes down Takumi. Will it be Utami Hayashishita with the Marigold World Championship on the line? I fully believe that match is going to be made. Can Takumi add a fifth belt? Can Mayu become the first to maybe win the IWGP and GHC women's titles? They're all on the table. It's just the beginning, but it's a very exciting beginning, a beginning that you need to go watch and appreciate because, again, we're not slowing down, just moving forward. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hopefully, I've got you interested. Hopefully, I've got you up to date. Hopefully, you're looking forward to Tuesday. These two rosters deserve it. They're just two incredible rosters that I absolutely love, and I love seeing them face off. So, should be a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll be back on Friday with the 5-Star Joe Show as always. I got some interviews coming out as well over the next week or two. So, keep an eye out on those. I'm very proud of what we've put together. So, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If this feud is interesting to you. If you haven't watched the feud, are you going to watch it? What is your favorite match from the feud? Who do you think or what What match would you like to see from the feud? So on and so forth. Do you think Takumi Iroha becomes Marigold World Champion? These are all the questions you can answer. These are all the questions I'd love to hear you answer. So leave them in the comments below. Also, press that like button. It does something good to get eyes on the product here, which I'll greatly appreciate. But that's it. We'll be back on Friday, 5-Star Joe Show next week. I got a lot of ideas. I got a lot of YouTube ideas cooked up, ready to go. Very exciting. Very much looking forward to it. So much to talk about. Really, really hopeful that you guys all continue along with the ride with me. It's meant the world to me. The conversions next week, we'll be talking about that, this Korakuen, and so much more. So just subscribe to the channel, be a part of the channel, because we're only getting started, much like this feud. So with that being said, so long, farewell, see you later, everybody. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.